Good evening, everyone. Like a lot of classic European race circuits, Imola was built on public roads. Similarly, such as the Nordschleife, Mazzano, especially in the European regions such as Paul Ricard, Oostenrijk Ring from years past, Imola has always played host to the local geography that has influenced and shaped how the circuit has developed since it first opened all those years ago. And famous corner names such as Tamburello and Acqua Minerale lay claim to the landscape. You'd be surprised to know that Tamburello, much some people like to believe it's actually named after a person, it's not. They used to quite literally have some incredible trees that lined the circuit. If you're not aware, there is actually such a thing as tambourine trees. So tambourine becomes Tamburello. And Acqua Minerale was, of course, named after a mineral spring in a public park. That's literally where its name came from. And it has been involved in Formula One effectively since the 1960s, back when Jim Clark won the event there. It wasn't a race that counted towards the championship that day, but it nevertheless left an impression and became part of the Formula One calendar. And tonight, it hosts round 2 of the Invictus Racing League Season 24 Championship here with the F1 26 DLC. I'm Jack TM53 Synopsis, your commentator, as always, for Season 24. Good evening to everyone who is watching, wherever you might be in the world. I hope you're staying cool in the heat if you're in the UK. I know that we are going through a second or a third heat wave, I believe, is what they're being called. But we have a number of drivers in, ready to go in just a moment's time. We've set the stream up early because, of course, tonight's action for round 2 is a sprint race. Now, if you're new to IRL, just to give you an idea of how that works. So, first of all, we will have a one-shot qualifying at Imola around the 19 corners of the racetrack. That will set the grid for the sprint. We'll do the sprint race, and then after that we will head on into another one-shot qualifying session and into the 32 lap race. So slightly tweaked format that we run on the sprint weekends, or sprint days shall we call it. But really excited to see how everybody gets on tonight. It is going to be fascinating. Hello to Tristan, hope you're doing all right, buddy, and thank you very much for that. That's a really kind comment that you've left for me there. So we're due to get started in just a few moments' time. We're still waiting for the other couple of drivers to come in just yet. Voice chat suspended, not for me. Hopefully you can all hear me from here. Jeremy Clarkson is in. I think O'Stephen should be here. I think O'Stephen's one that we are actually missing. Let's see if we can get the fellow Aston Martin driver in, because I can't see him on there. Hulkenberger is back for tonight's action, as is Clips Curry in the Cadillac. No Mikey in the race this evening after his 5-corner cameo at Singapore last week. Nitro Gash is in, but no Ginger Tiger. Sad to see the sole McLaren out there. SFR Matty is in the Red Bull alongside the War Islander. Good to see War Islander back in this championship. Both Aston Martins, as I already said, are here. Sydney is here in the Ferrari alongside Luke. We haven't seen Luke Bailey for a long time in IRL, but he's here as one of the drivers in the Ferrari. Actually, correct myself, there's 2 Lukes. So that's set Luke in the other Ferrari there. Then there's the 2 Mercedes of ATK GZ Gaming, and it's a return of IRL's fan favourite Owen in the other Mercedes too. He's got his pedals sorted. Jack is in the Williams. That's Wacky Jackie. Is on his own for this evening. In the Racing Bulls, effectively, we should, in theory, have Ashtube and ARL. Now, I know that Ashtube were a little bit 50-50 on whether they were racing tonight. So, of course, it'd be a bit of a shame not to have the championship leader in tonight. But we will see. I can't see him in there. I've just sent him an invite on the screen. Iran is back as well in the Haas. We don't have his teammate in for this evening, but we do have Mercked. IRL's, I'm going to say gifted son is returned. He is a reserved. He's driving the Audi for this evening, and I do believe Luke Bailey will be racing this evening as well. Big C saying, where's Ira? Yeah, where is Ira? That's who I was alluding to with Iran's teammate there. And hello to ARL, hope you're doing well, bud. Good to see you in the comments. Okay. Alright, so that's where we're at for tonight's action. We are still waiting. Because Clips is currently just updating the car damage, so we'll just double check that everything is present and correct on the simulation settings. So there we go, surface type realistic, surface, there you go, standard, and everything's fine. It is true that when the game updates, it always resets some of the settings, which is a bit frustrating. Ash Tube's now in, which is fab. So we've got 16 drivers as it stands. I believe we are waiting for one more, and I think that is Luke Bailey. I don't know if he has been invited at all. Just looking to see if we do have Luke on our system so we can invite him in. I always go through them all because it does do its own little thing sometimes where you can't actually see who you're supposed to invite, but I can't see him in there, unfortunately. Some interesting names coming up on the screen just then. Iran saying Io Komatsu has withdrawn him. Good to see you, J-Ray. Hope you're doing alright. Nice to see you as well in there, War Islander. And this is going to be an interesting race. I'm a big fan of Imola in general. It's steeped in history, of course, and with it being such a tight and narrow circuit, typically it's quite difficult for drivers to overtake around this track. But because of the updated regulations in the new era of Formula One, whether you like it or loathe it, it has certainly promoted a lot more overtaking. We've lost someone and then they've just rejoined, I think. So that's good news. Whoever that was has got back in. Although Nitric Ash is flicking spectator and then flicking it off. Oh no, he's back in the McLaren now, so that's fine. But this will be interesting. You know, the track is old school. It was built in 1950. Hasn't really changed much since 1994. Obviously, after sadly the deaths of both Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna, loads of chicanes were sort of reshaped and reprofiled. Of course, the Variante Tamburello came in at that point, which completely reshaped the speed of that left-hander. But it's a 3.050 mile circuit, as I said before. 19 corners for the drivers to navigate. A couple of those corners don't really appear in an F1 car because it's on four wheels. It doesn't really have too much of an impact, but it does for the MotoGP. For those that have been involved in watching super bikes or anything like that over the years, of course, the track layout is a little bit different. I've heard that Luke Bailey is going to be joining shortly, so hopefully he'll be able to get in during the sprint race so he can just get some mileage in. But we are underway, less than 20 seconds to go now, and 8:05. That's an improvement, I think, from last week. And we're going to see how the drivers will navigate. We will ride on board with one of our drivers. If I can get on board with our championship leader, that is what I will do. So that is, of course, for those that aren't aware, that is Ash Tube, who won last week after an incredible race last week at Singapore. He will lead the championship. First time it's Ash Tube's led the championship in quite a number of seasons, but it's a delight to see him up there. And just whilst we get things moving along. Clips Curry finished second last week, so he's second in the driver's standings. Sydney, the long-time race leader, after his re-inheritance of the race lead from Jeremy Clarkson, he's third in the driver's standings. Iran is fourth, followed by O'Stephen in fifth. Ivan Beloff is sixth, but he's not here this evening. Nidragash is seventh. SFR Matty is eighth. Ira is ninth, not here this evening. And Wacky Jackie is 10th. Jeremy Clarkson, Ginger Tiger, Hulkenberger, ATK G2 Gaming and Mikey all retired last week. So it is all up for grabs. There's quite a lot to do for the action tonight. And in terms of the team standings, Racing Bull's at the top with Ashtube, but he's on his own at the minute until ARL joins for this evening. I've just realised I'm coming through the screen, so that's not ideal for the drivers. They've been hearing me the whole time. Let's just refix that. I had thought I'd set up my own party, but I do apologise if all the drivers have been listening to me the whole time. Hopefully you can hear me through the screen now. Yeah, you can. Cool. Ginger saying best of luck. Hi, Casser. Hope you're doing okay. Hi, Michael Brown. Hope you're doing good. But we are about to get underway here for the one-shot qualifying that will set the grid for the sprint here at Imola. Let's get on board. Hopefully with Ashtube, if we can get to him. Off we go. And I'll try and find Ashtube in control of the Racing Bull. Let's get everything enabled just towards turn 2 at Variante Tamburello. The battery will be important for deployment today. Got to spot your braking zone now into this first left and right-handed corner. Nice and committed there from the Racing Bull. Swing the car through the left-hander at turn 4 and get yourself braced for Villeneuve. The left-right, really keen to make sure you keep the car in the track limits, which Ashtube does. Then into Tosa, one of the biggest stopping points on the racetrack, and Ashtube deciding to use second gear. Fires the car out of the corner up to turn 8 and then turn 9, which is Piratella, the left-hander. Want to take a little bit of curb if you can, try and use a little bit of the exit as well, and he's done a good job so far. Out of turn 10 and into Aqua Minerale, as we talked about before, the old park and spring reserve, but that's nice and neat from the Racing Bull, but not much in the way of battery. This is going to cost him now as he comes into Variante Alta. Got to spot your braking zone, not take too much curb, which he doesn't do, but he is struggling on that battery as he comes now towards the last couple of corners. Big braking zone going into Rivatsa. Brake just before the 50-metre marker, down into third gear for the Racing Bull. That's a really nice tight line through there. And out of the final corner, this has been a very strong lap from the championship leader, but it's going to be Sydney on provisional pole, and it's Ashtube in second. And look at all of the drivers who got caught out by falling foul of the track limits. Merckx, Luke, Clips, Jeremy Clarkson and Owen, 5 of the field. The only other car that's still out there is ARL, who seemingly is now going around. There seems to be a bit of lagging or something going on with the other Racing Bull. But great lap that. Really strong lap from Ashtube that we rode on board with. It just shows you, though, how quick Sydney was there. Of course, this is the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, technically, but it's a Dutch 1-2-3. The Ferrari of Sydney on pole position for the sprint. Ashtube is second. Then you've got the Red Bull of War Islander in third, with Hulkenberger fourth. Irun and SFR Matty make up row number 3, with ATK G2 Gaming on row 4 alongside Wacky Jackie. Good qualifying that from Jackie, actually. Nitragash and O'Stephen are inside the top 10, and then ARL with a very slow and unrepresentative lap time. Merckx, Luke, Clips, Jeremy and Owen all falling foul of the track limits there, so they are going to be starting behind. Watch out for those guys as they come through the field. Now, of course, in Invictus Racing League, for those that have been keeping an eye on everything, you'll be aware that we are running effectively a 2-tier championship within one evening. Now, we haven't announced who the drivers are in Tier 1 or in Tier 2 because we want to let a few races go by first before we start assigning positions to people. There is an overall championship, which is for everybody to compete in, so you never know. We might have some freak results, a bit like how we did last week at Singapore, that could push people up. But that is something that might start to play on the drivers' minds after this race and next week's. But we are just waiting now before we get in. Luke Bailey has joined us, so he will start from the back of the grid, which I believe will be 17th place. I'm not sure what car Luke will be driving, but nice to have him back in the championship. I know that he's been supporting IRL and helping the admin team out this season, which has been really, really good to have him on board. If you are watching, there's quite a few of you who are. Do comment who you think is going to win the sprint race, and let's make things interesting. Merck start in 12th place. Of course, the prodigal son of Invictus Racing League. Where's he going to finish in this sprint? Do put your comments in the chat area if you could. That'd be fantastic. But the drivers are under strict instructions to make sure that they don't ready up too early. And if you are watching, by the way, for those that are at home, comfortable, hope you're having a good time wherever you are. If you are watching at home and you haven't given the stream a like yet, or if you haven't subscribed to Invictus Racing League, please do. Just help out the channel. It'd be really fantastic if we could get some extra support on the stream. Michael Brown saying last to first for Luke. Let's see how Luke gets on from 17th on the grid. It will be fascinating to see how he does. I do have a mention, and Clips Kiri is getting everybody to go. So we are going to be getting on board. ARL saying something was happening with his PC. That's why we saw some issues. And we've got the formation lap underway then. So Sydney will lead the drivers from the field. Luke Bailey has joined, but not sadly in time for the sprint, which is a great shame. But he did say he's going to get ready for the next one. And I think that is ARL having all sorts of issues at the back. So what I'm going to do, hopefully ARL can leave and then come back in. Something bizarre is going on with the Racing Bull at the moment. I am friends with ARL, so I will send him a little invite and hopefully we can get him in the lobby. But what this will do is this will leave the drivers stuck on the front of the grid for quite a long time. It won't affect their in-game tyre temperatures or anything along those lines like it would do in... What? Sorry, we just had ARL go warp speed backwards. It won't affect their tyres and temperatures, but it will frustrate them. It will bring the anxiety up just a little bit for some people, and I know that they don't all do well with waiting along. This is the tyre strategy then for the sprint. We've got 3 of the top 5 on the hard Whitewall Pirelli compound tyres, so that's Sydney, Hulkenberger and Irren. Interestingly, Ashtube and the War Islander have gone for mediums. Then the rest of the top 10 outside of O'Stephen, those 4 are on the mediums. O'Stephen's on the hard. ARL has, I think, left and he's going to try and rejoin. So hopefully Al can do that. Merck, the only driver on the soft tyre in the Audi. That'll be fascinating to see how he does and how quickly he can rise through the field. And then everybody else on the medium yellow wall Pirelli compound. So that'll be curious to see how those get on. Hello, Schmo. Hope you're doing okay, bud. Nice to see you. And the drivers now are starting to get themselves onto the grid. Owen at the back. Good to have his pedals sorted. We'll see if he can do anything from the back row of the grid this evening. Sent another invite to IRL. Hopefully he can get in. But the cars are all in position. And look how angled Ferrari is on the right-hand side there for Sydney. We get ourselves ready then for the sprint here at Imola. And the race is live here for the sprint with Invictus Racing League, and it's a good start from Ashtube, making the best of those medium tyres, but Ashtube's going to have the outside line compared to, there's a bit of ducking and diving in the background, but Ashtube, can he go around the outside? No, he can't. Hulkenberger, there's a car going off and into the gravel trap, and that is one of the Mercedes. I think it's ATK, and I think Nitro Gas has gone round as well, unfortunately. But it's a great start for Sydney. He needed to fend off Ashtube there. Then it's War Islander and Hulkenberger in the top 4. There's an Aston Martin. I think that's O'Stephen trying to have a fight with Merck, who made a great start on this opening lap. But he's going to get overtaken by Jeremy Clarkson around the outside at Tosa. And Owen's going to go through with a bit of battery power. I think he is. He's going to understeer almost off the road. But he keeps it on track. Really frantic opening couple of corners. Merck running a little bit deep there. Nitric Gas with him. And that is Owen round on the curbs. And that is how quickly this circuit can bite right back at you here at Imola. And I think SFR Matty has gone past Iran there. I think SFR Matty was a little bit all over the shop going through the chicane. Not quite certain what happened. But Sydney has the lead of the race. But this is where he's going to come under pressure. The overtake mode will be enabled. And can Ashtube take advantage of it? He's going to deploy all of his battery down the straight. And that's as easy as you like in 2026 Formula 1. Ashtube takes the lead of the sprint. And Merck, after his good start, has gone backwards. Not ideal at all for the Audi, but Sydney is second. War Islander is third. They've already pulled a gap on Hulkenberger, and Wacky Jackie having a great race in fifth position. Then it's Matty. Jeremy Clarkson has got past Iran, so Jeremy's had a really good opening lap so far. On board with O'Stephen, who is higher than an Aston Martin has been this year in the real world. Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso could only dream of such performance. And look at this, here comes Jeremy. That's not a usual overtaking spot into Aqua Minerale, but there was nothing Matty could have done. And Jeremy has had a flying start. We'll just have a little look here at the position change. Look at that, up 9 places. What a launch from Jeremy. He was, of course, the race leader last week at Singapore until it all went wrong. And look at this, he's right with Jackie here. And the battle for the front is going to change. I think we're going to have an overtake change here. Sydney, right with Ashtube. And Jeremy Clarkson has gone past Jackie whilst we've been told. You just saw the Aston Martin appear in the background. Sydney's close, but not quite close enough. And War Islander hanging on. So the top 3 pulling away from Hulkenberger. It now has Jeremy Clarkson looking for him in 5th position. And that's Ashtube being deposed of the race lead, so that must have been the battery usage going on for Sydney to get through on the exit of Tamburello. It'd be great if we had a live replay function, we could have a look back at that. But we are on lap 3, you can hear the harvesting going on, and Jeremy's up to 4th. The man is on a mission this evening. He is going for it. Let's just have a little look once again, by the way. 11 places from the back row of the grid. What a start for Jeremy Clarkson. And can he catch the War Islander, who I think has just dropped away from the leading 2 in a big slide. Coming out of there for the Dutchman. And Jeremy is going to be sniffing blood here. Whether he can catch up an Ashtube. Is he going to get the overtake mode here? We're going to go into straight line mode there. I don't think he got it. I don't think he did, and I think Clips has just gone through. That's a close fight between SFR Matty and Jackie. I think Matty is probably going to get him benefit of the overtake mode, and Matty moves through in the Red Bull into 6th place. The last position, of course, that can score points in the sprint. There goes Merckx. Past Clips and Nitrogash, who are fighting. And Luke has picked up a time penalty there for track limits. Imola. I was just about to say, Imola is very tight with track limits, so it is easy to pick them up. But Mercked out there in the Audi, in the reserve car. Clips is there. On board with Nitrogash, and Owen has just gone past ATK G2. I'm just going to call him Attack from now on. I think that's Attack G. That's what we're going to call him from now on. And ARL is doing a full reset, so we will just see if we can... We're not really sure what's going on with ARL's car, or whether it's his PC or whatnot. There's something very peculiar going on for the Racing Bull. Out at the front, Sydney leads the way. He's just about maintaining an advantage over the Racing Bull. Oh, look at it. Just look at the speed from Iran. He's not just going to get Jackie. He could get Matty here. It's going to be very close into turn 2. Oh, that's deep from Matty. And through goes the Haas, and through goes Jackie. That's a good bit of opportunistic driving, but not for Hulkenberger, who tried to take advantage. His car's sliding all over the road, and I bet everyone behind is delighted. Oh, there's a bit of broken front wing from somebody there. And the Aston Martin of Merckx was all over the shop going through turn 6. And was that Merckx picking up damage? Not quite sure. I just saw an end plate fly off from somebody's car. Clips has gone past Hulkenberger. And Hulkenberger's couple of corners being compounded here. And is that a McLaren round? It is. It's nitro gas. She's gone off the road at turn number 9 at Piratella. Don't know if he's been into the wall or not, but sadly for him. And that's Hulkenberger getting back past Clips Kiri. You can't go 2x2 into Variante Alta. Just impossible. But overtakes are happening everywhere. And speaking of overtakes, War Island has gone off the road. War Islander is trying to get his car back, pointing in a straight line. We saw him sliding earlier on, but the Red Bull drops to 4th, and Jeremy Clarkson's up from 15th on the grid. Great start, great sprint for him. And SFR Matty now goes on by past Jackie, and Luke can't find a way through. So the midfield fight, we're going to try and keep an eye on this action. Jackie's got a good exit out of Tamburello, but I think he clamped the curb to stall his momentum. Now, of course, just a quick overview for everybody if you're watching Invictus Racing League for the first time. The top 6 drivers score points in the sprint. So it's basically 6 for the race win, then it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Matty has the last point in the Red Bull currently. But Jackie's trying to get that position if he can, but he's got Luke all over his rear diffuser. Of course, there's only one diffuser at the rear of the car in a Formula 1 2026 machine. And then Merckx is just a little bit behind, but he is on the soft tyre. So I wonder how that car is coping now, because we know that the softs in this game, they do burn up quite quickly. We'll have to see. Schmo saying, has the offboard audio been fixed for this week? Owen has crashed out, I think. I think Owen has gone off at Aqua Minerale. I think it's seemingly looks like it's been fixed a little. Let's just have a look on ATK. Yeah, it does look like it. And ATK is coming for Clips. Attack he does. And into 12th place we go. Another change back at the front of this fight for 6th position. Luke has got past Jackie, who's got Merckx trying to advance through. Look at the Ferrari of Luke. He's trying to find a point. Running the number 71 on the side of the car. And this quartet very closely matched today. Merckx got a good run out of Tosa. Going to have to use the battery up the hill. There's a little bit of contact, I think. I think they're both lucky to survive that, actually, in truth. But Jackie was probably in front a bit more than what he realised, and Merckx trying to find a way through. What Jackie's trying to get past Luke, but I don't think that's going to work into Variante Alta. Oh, big snap of oversteer for the Ferrari in front of us, and another snap, and he's all over the track. Oh, I'll be honest with you. I think that one might have been a little bit... Oh, Jackie can't get... Oh, Luke can't get back on the track. He is now. That one might end up in the stewards. He's got no grip because, of course, his car's gone through the gravel. But that was a shame because that's ruined that fight. That was a really good scrap between Luke and Jackie. I'm not sure if... I don't know. I'm looking at that one just from an outside perspective and thinking that Luke tried to come across and defend, and it was quite late as Jackie picks up a time penalty. So not only has Jackie lost the opportunity to go for points, he's also picked up a time penalty. But I'll let the stewards decide that one. What that does is reshuffle the group around. So SFR Matty is still in 6th place. There is a new quartet though. We go over the hill. Then it's Merckx. We can't see if Merckx was the car that lost the front wing end plate. Yes, it was. So Merckx is out there fighting a good fight, but without the full complement of his front wing. Oh, Stephen and Hulkenberger have been coming back through in this race. Hulkenberger, of course, having that problem. Hulkenberger trying to go. That was, I'll be honest, I don't think that was ever on from Hulkenberger. He's going to go through the gravel. He's going to have to let O'Stephen back through. I don't think that move was on, but I tell you what might be. Jeremy Clarkson has closed up to Ash Tube. So the Racing Bull and the Aston Martin are within striking distance of one another. Let's go back to Merckx. Has he been able to save a little bit of battery for his attack on SFR Matty? The answer to that question is a resounding yes. Can he go through? He can indeed. Matty tries to attack. He locks the front wheels into turn 2. I know Stephen just needs a decent exit. He just needs to plot the car around the outside of Tamburello, and that's a lovely overtake from O'Stephen into 7th, and Matty's going to have to bail out of that one. That was nice opportunistic driving from O'Stephen. You just had to calculate where the right place was to be. And speaking of the right place to be, it's now on board with Jeremy. He's looking for areas of the track where you wouldn't normally see an overtake, and you can see the Aston Martin sliding once again. And Jeremy admitted last week he had an awful race at Singapore. But now this is his shot at redemption. Into the final corner at Rivazza. The last proper corner at Rivazza, I should say. That's turn 19 at the right-hander. Now Jeremy has the power. He's got the overtake button on, as does Ash Tube, but the Aston Martin behind will have a little bit more power. But Ash Tube keeps the position for now, and keeping an eye on O'Stephen as well. Now the Racing Bull's trying to save energy, and Jeremy's going to go through. It's an unorthodox overtake, but the AMR goes through, and Ash Tube now compiles that down to a track limits violation, and he'll have 3 seconds. So that looks like that fight will be finished as it stands. Even if Ash Tube goes back through, he'll have to find 3 seconds, and I don't think that's going to happen compared to Jeremy Clarkson at the minute. Meanwhile, in the fight for 7th place, Merck's done a fantastic job to keep those soft tyres alive. He'll be benefiting from some data and information, but Hulkenberger is trying to get through on SFR Matty. I think those tyres are gone on the Red Bull. He's going to try and go around the outside at Minerale. There's a little bit of contact and Hulkenberger goes through. Well, I have to say, if either of those two argue about one of them caused the contact, you don't go side by side through there. It's just not a normal place. And Merck to pick up a time penalty. Now that's crucial, because that's the last point. O'Stephen, as it stands, will be inheriting that point, but he's got a Hulkenberger who's very charged up going into Rivazza. He leaves the door wide open, does O'Stephen. That's good racecraft, but it will have just cost the pair of them time. And Merck now is very close to keeping that position. It's all to play for. There is the Audi. O'Stephen defending the middle of the road as they came into turn 1. O'Stephen running over the curb there. ATK and Jackie have been having a big fight over 10th place, and Attack G has gone through, and Jackie has attacked the curbs too much. Oh, he's attacked the gravel trap as well, and Clips might find a way through here. He does, and I'm thinking there's a bit of damage on that Williams. There is, so that's why Jackie went off the road. It's a shame about what happened earlier for Jackie. Nitrogash out there, and Luke still trying to get some data, but what a sprint this has been. We've barely seen him, but since he got into the lead, Sydney has put in a masterclass for the sprint. It's the first win of the season for the Ferrari team, and Sydney takes it here at Imola. Jeremy Clarkson, what a drive through the field to come home in 2nd place. Watch him in the main race. Ash Tube will be 3rd, and despite his spin earlier, the War Islander will come home for 4th place. Iran will be delighted with 5th position, and I think it's going to be murked, but potentially it's going to be very close with penalties. It might be SFR Matty who's gone sideways. This is it. Penalties start getting applied now. Who's going to get 6th? It is Matty, who just about snatches the final place. O'Stephen is 7th, Merck is 8th, Hulkenberger 9th, Attack Gaiman takes 10th, then it's Clips, then it's Jackie. Nitrogash, we didn't see what happened to Nitro earlier on. Something befell him, but he will be 13th in the McLaren. Luke will finish in 14th place with a slide after the contact between himself and Jackie earlier. And then ARL, who I think is in control of his car now. And that's your sprint race. Woohoo! everyone just take a breather. Well, let's just have a look at these provisional sprint results. So it's the Dutchman of Sydney taking the provisional victory of Jeremy Clarkson in second place. Ashtube and War Islander are third and fourth, with Iran and SFR Matty getting the last points in the sprint for IRL. O'Stephen, Merck, Hulkenberger and ATK round out the top 10. Then it's Clips, Jackie, Nitrogash and Luke and ARL at the last remaining finishes. Owen sadly retiring on the exit of Aqua Minerale. Owen saying free spins from tapping the back of the person in front because they're managing battery. Yeah. Jeremy is very, very happy with that result. And Clips Kiri saying he's always slow here. And ARL saying there's some gremlins, something's going on. And of course, someone has readied up before being told otherwise, so that's going to get the one-shot qualifying going straight away. Hopefully Luke Bailey is in. So we're going to have to go back on board with someone who is readied up. We'll have to find out who that is. But we're back underway then for one-shot qualifying with 17 cars because Luke Bailey is in. And let's get on board with Jeremy Clarkson as we go once again towards turn number 2 at Tamburello. Spotting your braking zone down into the next couple of corners. Clarkson using all of the exit curb possible. Look at that. So the commitment from the AMR 26 there. Fantastic as he comes into Villeneuve. Oh, he will have invalidated his lap with that though. And that is Jeremy's luck run and done. And he's going to start from the back of the grid again. But if anyone can come back through, it's him. So we go with Sydney into Piratella. Lovely corner this. One of the nicest on the racetrack actually. A fifth gear, real committed corner. Aqua Minerale, just biding your time through the right-handers, especially in the new cars. You have to try and save a little bit of battery where you can, and that's one area to do it. Down through the gears, into the chicane. Owen on a good lap as well here in the Mercedes. Very close between the two. Let's get the telemetry up so we can see what's going on. And Owen's doing a fantastic job here. Into the penultimate effective corner at Rivazza. And then out of the final one. Oh, he's just invalidated it on the final corner. No! A nightmare for him. And it's Ashtube who's snatched pole. And Sydney has disqualified himself at the final corner. ARL saying he was the one who readied up. So we've got a culprit. That'll be a penalty of some form for ARL. But it's Ashtube and the War Islander who are on the front row of the grid. Ashtube will be delighted. Luke is third. Hulkenberger fourth. Jackie, another strong qualifying from the Williams man, in fifth. Then it's Matty. Then it's Iran. Luke Bailey has got himself into 8th place in the McLaren. Clips and ARL round out the top 10. It's Attack Game in 11th. Merck not setting a representative effort there. I wonder if Merck went off the road. And then look at the drama at the back. O'Stephen invalidated his lap time. Sydney did it at the final corner. Owens did the same. Nitrogash must have done it. And Jeremy did it earlier than everybody else going into Villeneuve. Well, that is going to be a manic grid, I think. And I think the opportunities for drivers to try and make overtakes are going to be plentiful. But strategy will be critical around Imola. And Ashtube and the War Islander must be looking at that grid thinking, we've got a very good opportunity to pull away early doors and hopefully score a potential race victory. We'll have to wait and see. Spud, great to see you. It's wonderful to have you here, buddy. I'm doing well. I'm so glad you're here. We all miss you, Calvin. We all miss you, honestly. So Spud has joined us in the comments area. What a privilege it is to have Spud back with us this evening. I wish you were out there. I really do. I know you can't. It's such a shame. But so Spud with us. I am really keen to know from the people who are watching at the moment, predictions. Who's going to win this race? Where is Sydney, who won the sprint race, going to finish in this one? And I'll tell you one more question. What are your predictions for the top three? Not in any particular order. Are you going to feature maybe Sydney up there? Jeremy Clarkson got a sprint podium, of course, from 15th on the grid. Owen in the driver's room has said no idea what tyre strategy to do. It's kind of up in the air actually with the strategies. I think that could go anybody. Schmo saying spud. PGS saying Jeremy has some pace. He does, absolutely. And Spud, yeah, I'd have loved it if you were here, Spud. I really do. I really do. You're such a fan favourite for all of us. I still think back to last season when you got that, when you scored points at China with the punctured tyre. That was phenomenal, that race. It's just, I was so proud for that one. Clips Kiri saying full wets for half the race. Have we got rain inbound, or is he just taking the mick out of Owen? Who knows, realistically. For those of a footballing disposition, just to make you aware, it's still 0-0 between Portugal and Spain, despite Ronaldo's best efforts to make the competition all about him. Just asking a question in the driver's room, and someone's asking about a restart. Yeah, and I was just about to say, Spud, you don't normally miss anything, so it's a great shame that this is the first time. Sydney asking about restarting because of the early ready up. I think, to be honest with you, from a commentary perspective, I think we should just go. Realistically, we don't have a provision in the regulations to say that if somebody readies up, then we restart. I know it has happened before, but yeah, that's something that's going on. Also, Sydney saying maybe it's because he validated his laps. There's a bit of humour there as well. But that's going to be fascinating at this race. I think there's a lot of drivers coming from the back of the field, of course, and as I said earlier, there are a few drivers who are certainly out of position. And I know that there's been an argument in the general chat within IRL, a good debate actually, about whether or not, you know, in theory, the EP1 and the EP2 drivers should be together in one lobby, but I think with the numbers that we've got, I think it's important for everybody to be racing, you know, regardless of speed. So I think at this point, you know, with 17 drivers, we've actually got more drivers this week than we did last week, which is really good. And there are a few more who want to come back and join. So we should have a full grid, hopefully for race 3, if not race 4. There are a number of reserves, but with it being July now, I know people are going on holidays and all that sort of element, which is affecting it a little bit. And I know that people are coming back to play F126 with the DLC. I've got it, of course, because I'm commentating on this. I find that the DLC is actually quite fun. I said last week at Singapore, it does feel like it is counterintuitive to what you would expect it to be. So not going flat out in qualifying is a bit of an odd stimulation as we get ready for the formation lap. But I do feel like that this regulation set, as Ashtube gets underway and now everybody else does, I do feel that this regulation set is more for the thinking driver than it is for the instinctive one. I do feel that the drivers have to think about their strategy a lot more, when to use their overtake mode, when to use the battery. And I will continue to say this, whether people think it's artificial or not, it has certainly changed the racing up for the real world. We've seen it over the last few weeks. We saw it yesterday, of course, at Silverstone. Of course, it's not the same watching it in qualifying, I will admit. From a purist perspective, I prefer the drivers to go flat out. But I think from a racecraft element, it does jazz it up a little bit in the opening laps, and throughout the race you see people deploying it, and you get to see more overtakes. And I think we do have sometimes in F1 a bit of rose-tinted glasses when we look at former regulations. And I know a lot of people like to hark back 20 years ago to when Alonso won his second title. Can you believe it's 20 years since Alonso won a second championship in the Renault? But I remember those races, and the fuel element being involved in that. You didn't really see that many overtakes. They were normally happening in the pit stops. So you're never going to please everybody, I think, is the right thing. And if V8s do come back, I think it'll be exciting. But I think the structure of the car needs to still be low downforce. We need to see the cars moving around, in my opinion. PGS, thanks for saying that. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, and that's why we did it this season. I think people did get a little bit disillusioned by F1 25. Let's hope, fingers crossed, that Codemasters can pull something off for F1 27. We'll have to wait and see. I am crossing my fingers. I'd love to go racing again on F1, but we'll wait and see. Jeremy Clarkson, the last of the drivers to bring the car into the grid box. The top 5 on a completely alternate strategy, a rainbow of yellow and white going on in the top 10 as Klipskiri doesn't get himself in the correct position. But we are about to get underway for the 32 lap race here of Imola, and look at the car positioning of Ashtube once again, very angled towards War Islander. But we are about to go live. And the race is live here from Imola, and that's exactly the start that Ashtube would have wanted, but not for the War Islander as the Ferrari moves up into second place. Hulkenberger trying to find a way through. Jackie's had a good launch as they go into turn 1. There's contact between a couple of cars there as they go through Tamburello for the first time, but Jackie's up to 5th place. A good start for Clips. He's in 6th. That's a Racing Bull of ARL off the track. Side by side into Villeneuve. Can Matty just place his car on the inside at Tosa? He's going to look, but he bails out of that one. So Klipskiri holds that position. Jeremy Clarkson trying to find a way through. Sydney's gone past Luke Bailey. There's a broken front wing out there for somebody, but Luke actually manages to hang on to that position. He's going to be on the outside at turn 9. We've got an Audi of Merck fighting with Iran. Will Sydney go around the outside? Yes, he does, into Aqua Minerale. So the Ferrari up to 10th place on those medium tyres. But they've got a number of cars they've got to fight their way through as they come into Variante Alta for the first time. Good exit from Merckx. That's exactly what he wanted. But Matty going to use a little bit of the power. And Sydney has gone past Iran. And Jeremy Clarkson has gone past Iran as well. So the Aston Martin into the top 10. So 7 places gained on this opening lap for Jeremy. 5 from Sydney, 4 from Merckx. What a launch. Ashtube leads the way, and he's got over a second. I tell you who's got more than that. Not War Islander, because he's trying to go through and gets past Luke. That's a great overtake around the outside at Tamburello. So War Islander's up to second. Luke third. Then it's Hulkenberger, Jackie, Klipskiri, SFR Matty fighting with Merckx and Sydney. How many times have we said that over the years at Invictus Racing League? That's wide from Matty. And will Sydney look to place his car on the inside? Merckx tries to go around the outside. Look at Jeremy Clarkson here, but Merckx has done it. He finds a way through. Nice deployment of battery for Sydney to go past the Red Bull, and I fear that Matty's going to be a sitting duck because Jeremy's going to go through as well. And well, those three line astern, and Jeremy's going to try and challenge Sydney going into the chicane at turn 14. I was going to say they can't go side by side through there. This is good race pace though from Jeremy. He needs to be here right now, just bothering the medium runners. But these guys who are here, Merck, did Sydney, that's wide from Sydney. Up the inside goes Jeremy at turn number 18 at Ravazza, and he goes through, and Merck is going to escape away, and Sydney goes into the gravel trap. He's fortunate, I think, that Matty wasn't close enough. And Merck, look at the battery usage there. He flies through, and he's into the top 5. Can Clips go past Jackie? He can't quite make it. So the opening 2 laps have already seen a huge amount of action. And I think Ashtube and War Islander will have just gone, oh no, as they see Mercked inside the top 5. It's almost as if he's never been away. Clips is going to get overtaken here by Jeremy and potentially... Oh, well, I was going to say potentially Sydney, but he's in the wall at Tosa. And the man who won the sprint is at the back of the field and with a broken front wing. Well, drama here on lap 3 at Imola. And that is going to be into the pits for Sydney. That's a nightmare. We've got a yellow flag out there again. I think Luke's gone off. And in the space of 1 lap, the Tifosi have gone furious because both of their drivers, who were making smart work of everyone, have fallen down the field as Jeremy moves up to 5th place, and Luke's going to go past SFR Matty into 8th. They lean on each other. Ooh, that might be one for the stewards, that one. It didn't look like there was much room left for anyone. But I don't think Matty will mind too much because he's got the power. Whoa! Where does Owen go? It's 4 wide! On the grass goes Luke Bailey. They're almost into one another as they go into turn 2. That's unbelievable action here at Invictus Racing. Wow! 4 wide going down the straight towards turn 1, and they've all come out of it in the straight line somehow. The McLaren's now fighting a little bit further back. Nitro with ATK. And ARL looking to get involved too. That was fabulous. I couldn't believe what I saw. I saw a car on the gravel. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Whilst that's been going on, Merck just found his way onto the back of Hulkenberger. Jeremy has gone with him in the fight for 3rd position. And now Luke Bailey is going to have to try and fight back through the field if he can. I think Luke was the car that was on the grass actually as they went into turn number 2. Big C74 in a bed. Oh, we do miss Malk. I can't take his lines off him. Nitrogash down the inside of ARL. Nice overtake that. Merck, is he going to be close enough to Hulkenberger? I think Hulkenberger's a sitting duck here, and he is. Hulkenberger overtaken by Merck, who is absolutely flying today. What a statement of intent this will be. And Jeremy Clarkson, I think Jeremy Clarkson is very, very strategic in the way that he uses his battery. He makes a lot of unorthodox overtakes as Owen goes past Clips for 7th. Oh, he's on the grass. Everyone likes the grass this evening. I know there is the internet meme saying everybody needs to go touch grass, but I think everybody is quite literally taking this to the extreme this evening. Look at that! Down the inside at Aqua Minerale. Not quite for Jeremy there. And he's having to save a little bit of battery. Is that Luke Bailey going past the other Luke? I think it is. I think Luke's actually had a moment at Aqua Minerale and drops to 14th. So the Ferraris, who were briefly in the top 7, the pair of them, aren't even in the top 10 now. And Jeremy Clarkson has gone past Hulkenberger. I said he was using unorthodox places to overtake people. He's done just that. Now, can he go past Merck? Merck is on the battery, but Clarkson will have overtake mode. I think Merck will have overtake mode as well because he was behind Hulkenberger. So he's got a little bit of deployment. And Ashtube, there's a change for the lead. Ashtube and War Islander trying to fight through Tamburello. But the War Islander, are those hard tyres starting to move into the window now compared to the mediums? It is early. It is very early. just have to wait and see. But the Red Bull is in the lead past the, I was going to say the sister racing team of the Racing Bull. But that little fight has just brought Merck to second in closing up to the race lead. He's took Jeremy with him, and they've took Hulkenberger with them as well. Do not rule out Hulkenberger on an alternative strategy. Sydney sets the fastest lap, but sadly is 35 seconds behind Nitrogash, who's running in 16th place. Owen is in 6th position, just in front of Jackie. So the top 5 having a great time of it at the minute. And then Clips very late on the brakes at turn 14. Set Luke goes past ATK. I told you that during the pre-race that the regulations are going to provide all amounts of overtaking. They're certainly doing that as ATK tries to go past Set Luke, who I'm just looking, does Luke have damage to the front of that Ferrari? Big slide off the corner. He doesn't. And Klipskiri's gone past Jackie for 7th place. Speaking of going past, ATK blasts on through, and Irun goes past SFR Matty for a slice of the top 10. I think Matty's going to try and strike back, but not enough power in the Red Bull. Not something that we've said this season in the real world. As Clips, is Owen round? I think Owen's in the wall. He is. Owen, who was running so well. Sadly, he gets overtaken. Well, almost overtaken by O'Stephen. O'Stephen looking to the inside line. O'Stephen on a different strategy, of course. Is that damage for Owen? No, I think he might have got away. I don't think he hit the wall. But he did lose it going into the chicane, sadly, at Villeneuve. So the Mercedes line astern, and that's a big slide off the corner for Owen. He's looking to the inside of ATK. He won't, well, I was going to say he won't find it there, but his own teammate actually holding him up. And O'Stephen will be getting involved in this. He's on the grass as well. Welcome to the Grass Grand Prix, ladies and gentlemen. O'Stephen is up into 14th position. Back at the front. It's going to be a change for the lead as Ashtube moves up the inside. Ooh, was War Islander try to get through there. Luke Bailey moves up to 7th whilst we're watching all of this action unfold. And Luke, can he get the car stopped? I thought he was going to run wide, and then Jackie's going to hit him, and Luke Bailey goes off. Can he keep it out of the wall? He can, but sadly for Luke, he goes off the road and he's down to 11th. He's probably going to drop, I think, further than that as he comes back onto the race circuit. Not the ideal way to rejoin, but I don't really know what he was supposed to do. Luke goes down to 13th, sadly. There'll be a steward's inquiry as Owen goes into 11th place at Tosa. And I think ATK is going to try and get back at him. 2 teammates, no team orders there at Brackley. But Owen does regain the spot. And whilst we were talking, War Islander dropped down to 4th, which has brought Jeremy into 2nd place. He's going to go for it. Is he? Well, I think he has to be careful. As Clips Kiri picks up a time penalty, we'll have to watch that fight for 6th place in a moment. But Jeremy, this looks a bit like a foregone conclusion here. The Aston Martin in the slipstream of the championship leader going into the race. He's going to try and work his way through. He's taking his time about it, and I think that's quite deliberate from Jeremy. He takes the race lead, and Ash Chief sits in 2nd. Merckx couldn't find a way through, and War Islander is also there too. Just looking at Clips, he's still in front of Jackie, but Aaron isn't, and Aaron's going to go around the outside at turn 1. They make contact. And ARL goes through, and SFR Matty goes through, and then ARL has a slide off the exit of Tamburello. And Jackie picks up a time penalty. A little bit of spatial awareness, I think, would have benefited Jackie and Aaron in that fight there. But sadly for those two, contact was made. I'm not going to insinuate blame one way or the other. I thought it was fairly obvious, but I'll let the spectators decide who's at fault there in the spectator stewards room. Now look at Jeremy. He's off and up the road. That's exactly what he wanted. After his failure to score in the feature race at Singapore last week, a retirement, and with Sydney still not yet in the points, this is a big result for him as it stands. But he's going to have Merckx joining him, and he'll be taking Ashtube and the War Islander with him. Here we go. Not much that the Racing Bull can do. Ashtube drops to third, make that fourth. And through we go. As the War Islander moves back into the top three. And the quartet now at the front, fighting over the overall race victory. Aaron has gone past Matty, and ARL's trying to find a way past, but he can't get through there. But Matty looking like he's having a bit of a struggle. Owen is into the pits as well. That brings Luke back into the points. And Owen's got a new set of tyres on. And Matty's been overtaken by ARL whilst we were watching Owen trundle down the pit lane. I wonder if those medium tyres are just starting to fall away now. At this stage in the race, ARL's trying to look at a way past Iran if he can. But Iran having a really good race actually is the Haas driver. Solidly inside the top 10, and he is fighting with drivers who have been in tier 1 previously. Aaron, last time he raced with IRL, was in tier 2, so he's equipping himself quite nicely in the fights this evening. But I think he's going to be under real stress and pressure to keep ARL behind him. He'll have overtake mode. Into the pits goes Clips. He's got the battery deployment going, so does Aaron. But who is going to maintain this position? I think Aaron's going to maintain it. But they both catch up to Jackie in 6th place, who's got that time penalty. Now, where does Clips come out in relation to those that have already pitted? Of course, Luke is going to go through, so the Ferrari moves up to 11th place. Sydney will go past, but it's just a question of whether Sydney can take those tyres to the end of the race. I think that's what will be in the back of his mind, if he can. Can the Dutchman do that? And ARL is going to fire past Aaron for 7th. But we are now in the phase of the race where the hard tyres will be the better compound to be on compared to the mediums. Hulkenberg are really keeping these four honest here. Only 2.3 seconds away in the Alpine. He could throw the cat amongst the pigeons, Hulkenberger, if he decides to do a different strategy. He's not going to lose anything if he decides at this point in the race to make a pit stop. And sure enough, War Islander is in, as is Ashtube and as is Hulkenberger. I was just saying, everyone, that that's what could happen. Battle of the pit crews here. And I think the Red Bull's just going to get out in front of the Alpine. He wasn't delayed. Hulkenberger bails in and Ashtube will go in. Now, where will they come out in relation to everybody else? ARL now go past Jackie. So ARL's in 3rd place, in front of Jackie. Then it's Aaron. Luke Bailey's up in 6th place. And there's the War Islander. So there's a bit of a gap to those 4 drivers fighting over what is now 3rd position. Ashtube's there. Then it's Hulkenberger. Luke has got 10th place. Hulkenberger's just picked up a time penalty. That must have been coming out of the pits. That's a shame. And Sydney has got the F125 glitch on the front of his car. There he is, with no front wing, but he does have the end plate. So we know that the car's front wing is there. It's just not visualised at the gap. I'm not really sure why that happens. It's got to be an asset issue, but why it happens, I'm not quite sure. It is a bit unnerving. It does look a little bit like it's a Ferrari Mad Max special. But Sydney, nevertheless, is circulating in 11th place. And his race now is different to those around him. It's all about maintaining the pace and the form he's showing at the minute. Now, the War Islander is catching very quickly on Aaron and Luke Bailey. Now, what he'll need is for these guys to pull into the pits. One of them does in the form of Jackie. He's responding to Clips. But they don't want to lose too much time between these two who are having a big fight. Down towards turn 2, and Luke hasn't got the battery deployment he needs to get on by. But they are now going to have the entertainment of War Islander. Look at the speed that he was able to carry through Tamburello, and Luke Bailey's going to have the battery to go through when they get into Villeneuve. Into the right-hander, War Islander, which way does he want to go? To the outside line. Round the outside. He's got so much more grip than Aaron. There was literally nothing the Haas man could do. And War Islander, he's found one place, now he's got to get past the other. He's got so much more grip than those around him. He's on brand new hard tyres. He's going to try and save a little bit of battery through Variante, well, rather Aqua Minerale, and then towards Variante Alta. I think if it's the War Islander, he will try and get a good exit here. Ash Tube's got past Iran. Oh, ATK is out, but he's retired on circuit. So the car has taken over for him, and I was just about to say War Islander was going to wait until this moment to get through, which he has done. Doesn't want to waste time waiting for the overtake and straight line modes area to go through. Now Ashtube will want to follow War Islander through. He doesn't want to lose too much time. But Jeremy and Merck still circulating. War Islander now right behind ARL. Luke is in front of Aaron. It's good undercut that. As that Ashtube goes past Luke Bailey. But I was going to say, it's a good undercut that from Set Luke in the Ferrari. He's now up into 8th place. We know what the War Islander's going to do on the battery out of the exit of Tosa towards turn number 9. And he's going to have the inside line. And ARL has to concede that one. And I think he will do his best to try and be a nuisance to War Islander and then try and give Ashtube a little bit of battery power, extra battery power if he can. The Racing Bulls lying astern. Merckx is in the pits. So he's took those tyres a little bit further than what everyone else has done. And that'll give him some tyre life offset later on in the race. But this is an important fight to watch because War Islander is going to have a gap to Merckx. He'll have done the undercut. And Ashtube will go past his teammate. Where is Merckx? He's coming down the pit lane now. Going to be tight, but Merckx is going to drop down behind his teammate. Will he fall behind Luke Bailey? Because if he does, he doesn't want to be there, and he has. So that's a car he's got to fight his way past because Luke Bailey's on a completely different strategy. He's got... look at the grip, look at the power. Is he going to get there before we get to Villeneuve? No. And that's going to cost him. Luke sliding all over the road, and Merck's going to have to go the long way round. And that was easy as that. As easy as you like. Merckx goes up to 5th place, but he was stalled a little bit by Luke, and now he's going to be with ARL. Now, if he catches ARL, I know that his Racing Bull teammate will love for ARL to try and hold up Merckx as best as he can, just to do him a favour. But that has certainly put those two Dutch drivers of the War Islander and Ashtube just a bit further ahead of Merckx than perhaps the Audi driver would have liked. We'll ride on board with him. See if we can hear see if the engine sound is fixed. Try and find someone who's a little bit further back, who's on their own. ARL and Merckx having a huge fight into turn 1, and Merckx gets through. Merckx was buffeted a little bit by ARL, who did his best to hold up Merckx. And he has done him a favour there. That gap out to 3 seconds between himself and Ashtube. Jeremy Clarkson's still out there circulating as Jackie picks up another time penalty. And the only drivers now left on track are Jeremy, ARL and Luke, who are yet to make a pit stop. The race just having a moment to settle down here. As Hulkenberger becomes the next driver to try and make a move on ARL, who is really struggling now on those old hard tyres. Let's ride on board and stick with the Alpine as he comes into Rivazza into turn 18, and this is going to be as easy as you like. There isn't really going to be much of a defence from ARL, although having said that, he's still got quite some straight line speed. But Hulkenberger goes on through into 5th place. Really strong drive this from the Alpine. He's running there in the top 5 now. I have to say, I thought that the War Islander would have been catching Jeremy at a much quicker rate of knots. This doesn't seem to be the case right now. We do have trackside audio for some cars, so there's still a little bit of an issue going on with that from a replay perspective, but it's not as bad as what it was at Singapore. We do have audio from the War Islander. Merckx is coming for Ashtube though. That gap was 3 seconds, it's now 1.5. But we know that Ashtube and Merckx deploy their batteries differently. And Sydney now is right behind his teammate. Merckx not quite getting the overtake mode on that one, but he did have a great exit and he's going to be on the bubble of getting within a second. He is there now. Sydney, I was saying Sydney was right there with Luke, but that's not the case as the Mad Max Ferrari slides out of turn 17. Into the pits goes Sydney, so he has had to make a second pit stop. So those hard tyres clearly struggling. And I think Jeremy Clarkson is going for the one stop here. I think that's what he's trying to do. I think his strategy is he goes and laps his teammate, who has pitted, by the way. I must add, though Stephen has been in the pits, Jeremy hasn't yet. As Sydney comes down the pit lane, he's going to be out behind Nitrogash. He's doing a solid job in the McLaren. Oh, we got a yellow flag out there, only briefly, but then it cleared. I wonder if Clips Kiri went for a wander on the exit of, I'm going to say, I think it looked like Tamburello maybe. Perhaps he did. And Clips just now in front of Iran. Penalties are going to be a factor here, but one person who doesn't have to worry about penalties is the Audi of Merckx. He's alongside Ashtube. He's going to be alongside and he's going to be in front of the Racing Bull. And into third place goes the prodigal son. And ARL finally makes his stop, as does Luke Bailey. So those two leave Jeremy on his own out front. The only driver in the entire field not to make a pit stop. But you feel he's going to come in the next lap or two. As a bunch of other drivers now make pit stops as well. So Jackie's been in. Looks like Clips Kiri has gone in as well. And into the pit lane goes the long-time race leader of Jeremy Clarkson. So we know that the War Islander and Merckx and Ashtube will go through into the top 3 positions. But Jeremy is going to be running the medium tyres till the end of this race. Lighter fuel load, of course, so that means the car is lighter, which improves tyre longevity. He is going to be electric when he gets up and running. Out of the pits he goes. We're going to see Hulkenberger, I think, in the background. Well, not quite, actually. I thought we would have seen the Alpine, but Hulkenberger having a really strong race in 5th position. Looks like that's where he's going to finish. So now, here he comes. He is currently 7.7 seconds behind the War Islander, who leads this race. I forget, War Islander moved last season up into what is classified as Tier 1 after him flying in the Tier 2 Championship very early on. Equipped himself quite nicely, but he's now got Merckx coming along with him. Ashtube's not far away if any nonsense goes on. Jeremy is corner by corner catching up to these 3. So the fight for the race lead is on. Hulkenberger there. Sydney inside the top 10. He's found his way back after issues for him earlier on in this race after spinning off and hitting the wall. You feel like his race position is quite stunted though from where he's going to be. But this won't be a stunted overtake for Merckx. He's got the power, he's got the battery. Crucially, he's going to have the inside line, but does he have the overspeed into turn 2. He comfortably has the overspeed. And we've got a new race leader. He started 11th. He's in P1. The Audi driver nestles his way into a race leading position. And now how will he get on? He's got better tyres than the War Islander and Ash Tube, which he'll be pleased about. But he knows that those tyres are going to be struggling later on in this race. And right at this minute, Jeremy Clarkson has got the gap down to 5.4 seconds between himself and Merck. So he is siving time at the minute. Hulkenberg, as I said before, Sydney trying to find his way up to 8th place as Jackie gets a pit lane penalty. He's retired from the race, sadly. Here comes Sydney. He's going to go through on Aaron, who doesn't fight that one too hard. And Sydney moves into 8th position. ARL trying to look at a way past as well. I think that the Racing Bull on the alternative strategy, if we just have a look at the stops, that tyre strategy has worked out for him, and Jeremy Clarkson moves into 3rd because Ash Tube has decided to pit. So Ash Tube deciding on that second pit stop. We've lost 80k, who retired obviously earlier on in the session. So Hulkenberger moves into 4th place. Ash Tube's going to try and do something different. He must be thinking that those hard tyres can't do another 10 laps. Owen believes the same. He pits 2. SFR Matty will be the one who will benefit from this. He carries on. Sydney is going to go to the end of the race here on this set of tyre. And the other element for Sydney as well is that now he's in 7th place. I thought his ceiling was probably stuck, but the strategies have worked in his favour. So Sydney has put in a really good recovery drive to move into 7th place. ARL's just got past Aaron for 8th position. And Jeremy Clarkson now has the gap down to 3.7 seconds. He's coming. He's going for that race victory if he can. I think War Islander was unbelievably close to getting within the overtake boost of the Audi, but I think he ran a little bit wide at Rivazza. Jeremy is trying to push along now. We'll just look back a little bit where Aaron is. Hulkenberger has pitted. Hulkenberger is going to take a set of mediums to the end of the race. And the War Islander is the other question mark of whether he's going to try and run the car to the end of the race if he can. Can Merck run that car to the end of the race as well? Ash Tube has jumped Hulkenberger in the pits, which we would have expected considering their starting positions. But Matty is going to get overtaken potentially by Sydney. Well, Sydney's got a bit more power than we thought. Oh, it's going to be tight. This is important for the pair of them. They go past Hulkenberger, who will be a little bit frustrated with that. But Hulkenberger does have the best tyres of the 3, so we'll keep an eye on this one. Jeremy Clarkson's within a second. Sydney's picked up a time penalty. That will not help his cause. And War Islander has no grip at all. In fact, War Islander lost so much time there, he's going to go into the pits. So Jeremy Clarkson gets a lap of overtake, which he'll be delighted about, and he has no one in front of him to try and clear. But the gap goes back up to 3.1 seconds. Merck does have a McLaren in the form of Nitrogash in front of him. Now, where will War Islander come out in relation to Ash Tube? Because if Ash Tube will have done the undercut, it's going to be close. The Red Bull's coming down the pit lane. It's all going to be about the speed and the exit differentials. Ash Tube's going to go through. Great undercut from Ash Tube. That really worked out. And the championship leader heading into this race will now have to fend War Islander off for his life, as the two Dutchmen go for the last spot on the podium. Sydney has found his way into 5th, but he will have Hulkenberger with him. They're both status quo for penalties. Matty we expect to pit again in this race. I think we expect to see Aaron in the pits, who's now fighting with Luke Bailey. I think Aaron's going to have to Oh, just about let this one go into Villeneuve. And the Haas moves down a spot, and Luke, I think, will be the next car to come at the Haas driver. And you're looking as well at Owen potentially. Gap between Merck to Jeremy Clarkson 3 seconds as it stands. I think Merck is going to try and run this car to the end of the race. And War Islander is very close to Ash Tube. Let's just have a look between the two. Coming down the straight towards turn 2. Look at the overspeed on the Red Bull. Wow! That was phenomenal. And the Red Bull moves up to third. And that is the benefit of saving your battery for that straight. But Ash Tube is going to try and come back at him. He's going to go around the outside at Villeneuve. And Ash Tube moves back in front. Well, you're getting a masterclass here of how to deploy your energy in various ways. Sydney closing up to Hulkenberg. He didn't have the best exit, but Hulkenberger retains fifth, and he's got the stronger tyre, so Hulkenberger should be able to pull away. There's a yellow flag out there. That's for a Mercedes. Is that Owen? Is that a VSC? It is, and Owen is out of the race. Virtual safety car called. And Merck has got into the pits. Now, what does this mean? Jeremy Clarkson's gone in. These two might as well pit because Ash Tube's too far away. So we're going to have a shootout between Jeremy and Merck for the race win. And sadly, Owen crashing at Tamburello. He can go play with the tambourines. I think Merck and Jeremy are going to be comfortably out in front of Ash Tube and War Islander. Oh, Stephen will unlap himself. And there we go. So Merck and Jeremy Clarkson, they're going to be in a shootout fight for the race victory. And Ash Tube and War Islander will be kicking themselves. Especially the War Islander. If he'd have left it another lap, he'd have been right with them. But they're going to now have a titanic fight over third position. SFR Matty's going to come in and get a cheap pit stop. I think Aaron is going to carry on. So Aaron deciding he's going to try and get a bit more luck there in the Haas. And we're back up to racing speed. Luke not in the right place to take advantage. That's set Luke, not Luke Bailey. He's running in 8th place now. He's a second and a bit behind ARL. Both of them on the same old age of tyres. These two have been quite close proximity throughout the course of this race. But these two have been closer. Looking at the rear camera from Ash Tube. And the War Islander is going to have the boost. He's going to go flying on through. But what this will mean is that for Ash Tube, he will get the overtake now. So the Red Bull will get it from here pretty much. And then he'll lose the overtake boost. And then Ash Tube will now get it. Now, does the War Islander have enough to maintain this position? I think he does. I don't think, yeah, there we go. I didn't think he had enough momentum, and Ash Tube drops to 4th place. It'll be so important for him now to try and hang on to the Red Bull. Because if he can, there's a 3rd place position up for grabs. He's doing a good job through here. Does look like the War Islander's a little bit front end limited through Tamburello. By the way, recovery driver of the day from Sydney, he's still hanging on to Hulkenberger despite the Alpine having better tyres at this point in the race. Ash Tube's gone back through. They're side by side, going down towards Aqua Minerale. But the War Islander is overtaken and repassed by what is still... it's going to be very close in terms of the points between Sydney and Ash Tube. We'll have to look at that one after the race. We have had 3 retirements, one of them resulting in a VSC. And War Islander, look at them, they're both playing battery games. They don't want to let the other one through, and now the War Islander is just going to try and power out of here. Bit of extra boost available. He's close enough to Ash Tube this time to try and find a way through. They're going to be side by side, and Ash Tube cannot hang on. Meanwhile, Jeremy Clarkson's got the gap down to under 2 seconds between himself and Merck. The race lead fight is not over yet, nor is it for 8th place. We'll just watch Luke and ARL here. I'll also just make sure I'm hovering over Ashtube. He's actually not that far, he's not close enough. Ashtube went past the War Islander up the hill before, but he'll be wise to that this time. Well, not set Luke, he's not quite close enough. In fact, put a wheel on the grass there, did set Luke. He got away with that one. That gap at the race lead is very tight here. Luke trying to find a way past a struggling Iran now at this point in the race. But Iran on for 9th. That'll be a really good point score for him. Nitrogash, I think he's been a bit unlucky this evening, running down in 13th place. Clips back in 12th as well. They were all having good cameos at the front earlier, but just have seemingly fallen away during the course of this race. But they are in a good fight with themselves throughout the course of this season. We are seeing a differential there between the set tiers. We'll announce that in due course. But Merckx, he wants a race victory. Jeremy wants a race victory, but they both have their strong points of this circuit, I note. They're both doing absolutely everything they can to hang on to that position. It's a yellow flag. That's a Ferrari. It's not Sydney. It is Sydney. Sydney's gone round. He's so fortunate that it doesn't. I was going to say it doesn't look like he's got any damage, but we can't tell. Sydney's race characterised by spins. He's fortunate that he was so far in front of ARL, but he does have that time penalty. And with Luke Bailey in close proximity, you know, Sydney finishing 6th would be a fantastic recovery drive. If he finishes 8th, it's going to limit his chances in the championship. Now Ashtube is going to get overtake mode from the car in front from O. Stephen. He was also close enough to the War Islander, so he'll get it anyway. But the War Islander is managing that gap. He's managed to just go above a second. So it all comes down to whether Ashtube can fight back as he puts a lap on O. Stephen. O. Stephen's battery management seeming to be a lot stronger than Ashtube's. I think that's something that the Dutchman's going to have to look at in the next few rounds, because I have noticed with Ashtube, I'll say it now in this course of this race, his battery management compared to everyone else's does seemingly not to appear to be as strong as those around him, and I think he'll watch that back and he will notice that. Jeremy and Merckx are still in, I'd call that a holding pattern really. Merckx did get the gap above 2 seconds, but then that changed. And Merckx is in the lead. He's on the penultimate lap of the race. He's going to get his championship kick started after missing the first round at Singapore. He is signed up as a reserve for this season, is Merckx. As Nitro gets out of the way, ARL picks up a time penalty, and you fear that after that, he's gone. He's very much on the grass. I wonder if he'll contest that. That looked a bit peculiar. I think, though, that Merckx has been able to fend off Jeremy Clarkson. And you have to look back at when that VSC came out and think, was it worth Jeremy pitting when he was only a couple of seconds behind Merckx? That's the critical decision in this race. Would he have been able to have hung on with older medium tyres? I don't know the answer to the question, and only fate will know that one. There's been some really good battling all the way through the field, including between Luke and ARL for 7th position. Sydney has since pulled away from those two after his spin. That's a good return for Luke, though. First event back in IRL for quite some time. He's had a good drive out there. There's a couple of people in the retirement area who aren't impressed, but you know, stewards are opening tomorrow, so these results will of course be provisional. But we are now on the final lap. We follow ARL, him and Luke both on the same age of tyre. This will now be for pride in terms of who can get that 7th spot. On track it will be Luke Bailey, but whether that will be contested or not, because it was a peculiar line that ARL had through the Variante Alta chicane. ARL's got the overtake. Luke Bailey's not got any energy left, and ARL doesn't really, but he's got a bit more speed. He's not quite close enough. But I'm going to go towards Merck, who's coming through the last couple of corners now. And he's put in a wonderful drive. Look at that, up 11 places. Jeremy Clarkson up 15. These two have been the class of the field. And Merck is going to round the penultimate corner, the only real corner left on the circuit for him to worry about. It's the first win of the season for Merck in the Audi. It's a brilliant performance. It's Jeremy in second place. He'll be delighted with that comeback. The War Islander is going to get his first podium of the championship in season 24. It's third for him. A good result for Ash Tube. Good points in the Drivers' Championship for him. Hulkenberger, incredibly, has been dramatically closed down by Sydney. I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but Sydney's down the inside. There's going to be contact between the two. I'm not quite sure. I wonder if Hulkenberger is he letting him through, or did he have a mistake there? That was a peculiar one, but Hulkenberger just about survives for 5th place. Sydney nearly gets 6th at the end. Luke Bailey will finish 7th regardless of ARL's penalty, so even if he does contest it, ARL will finish in 8th place. Aaron, that's a really strong drive from the Haas man. He's going to be in 9th position. He'll be delighted with that performance. Luke rounds out the top 10. SFR Matty will be 11th, and the last of the overall point scorers will be Clips Kiri on the lead lap. He'll be pleased with that. A good drive from him. Nitro and FRLO Stephen have already seen the checkered flag. But round the final corner for the Cadillac to score his first 12th position of the season after a podium last week at Singapore. It is Clips Kiri in 12th place. At the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Of course, there is no Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in F1 2026, sadly. The track no longer on the calendar, which is a great shame, because we do love Imola. It is a proper fight. No interviews, unfortunately, for the drivers who finished on the podium. But the drivers celebrating up there. Race winner going to Merck. Fastest lap went the way of Sydney. Driver of the day going to Jeremy Clarkson, with the most overtakes going to him as well. I'm not surprised by that, actually, to be honest with you. And then Luke getting the cleanest driver. Let's have a look at these provisional race results. So it's Merck who takes the victory from Jeremy Clarkson. The War Islander will finish in the top 3. Ash Tube is 4th with Hulkenberger in 5th place. Sydney recovers to 6th with Luke Bailey in 7th. ARL is 8th with Aaron and Set Luke in the top 10. SFR Matty and Clips taking the last points on the board for the overall championship. Nitrogash and O'Stephen outside of the points. Then it's Owen, Jackie and ATK Gaming. Those 3 retiring from the race. So that is the action from Invictus Racing League. Good comments from everyone below. Thanks, J Ray. Good to see you. Yeah, quick drivers coming through. Absolutely. Kasser, thank you very much for that. IRL saying it was okay. Could have been better. Could have been worse. Pace at one point wasn't bad. Wasn't too bad at all, IRL. I think you did all right there. And thanks to Suspud as well. Jeremy Clarkson was delighted with his P2, saying he's a P2 merchant actually after his sprint result as well. But that is all of the action from round 2 here with Invictus Racing League from season 24. Next week, we go to the latest edition on the Formula 1 calendar. We are at Madrid for the Madring. I'm still quite not sure how to pronounce that, to be honest with you. But that will be round 3 on the 13th of July. Next Monday, you can tune into all of the action live here on YouTube, as always. After that, we'll be off to Mexico before we have a mid-season break, where we'll then head off into the second half of the championship. We are still in debate at the moment within the admin team about changing Silverstone reverse to the normal Silverstone layout. I'm all for that happening, to be honest with you, but we will wait and see how the admin team call that one. But from everyone here at Invictus Racing League, thank you very much for watching. Where we might be in the big wide world, have a good one, and we'll see you next week for Madrid.